Hello dear medicos, we are having the privilege to have Dr. Kaushik with us, AIIMS rank 8, and on the behalf of DAMS family, I will congratulate him for
Thank
such
you,
a awesome rank, and this rank become more awesome because he have improved from last AIIMS rank 10. So I will congratulate you for your achievement, and I think now you are getting your dream branch, so you
Yes,
must
sir.
be very happy.
Very happy, sir. Actually, I'm very grateful to my parents, friends, and everyone who supported me. It was a difficult decision to drop rank
Very
10.
difficult. Listen, if somebody is listening to this interview, he will be shocked. That last AIIMS you got rank 10, and you left that rank.
Yes, sir, because the seats were less, and I was adamant on that I wanted a medical branch, and I was not getting a
So your
rank
dream
10.
branch was medicine.
Medicine, sir.
That's great. Yeah.
Medicine
He was
or
not getting medicine. That's true in the AIIMS only.
Yes,
And
sir.
you were not getting medicine AIIMS, so he left the rank 10. I think we can't take this risk. Heads off you and you hard work. You're getting rank 8, and I am confident you will be getting
Yes,
medicine.
sir.
Yeah. So how was your experience with our DAMS family? You are our foundation, Dr. Kaushik, rank 8. I'm proud to say he's our foundation student, joined us in the third year. So how was your journey with the DAMS, and what was your strategy? Because what I feel is Central Institute exam require a different level of strategy. So can you share with us?
So DAMS, I joined in 2016 when I was in my sixth semester, that is third year. As a foundation math student, I was regularly attending DAMS classes every weekend, the subject-wise classes that we used to have in foundation years. And I used to make my own notes, and I also used to compare it with my friends to see if I missed out something, and then I would add it. So those notes during that time, although it felt heavy, but towards the internship, it was exceptionally helpful. Even during my final prof, there were some subjects and some topics that I used to read exclusively from DAMS notes, which like surgery, obstetrics, gynecology, ENT, orthopedics, radiology, anesthesia. These subjects I have read only DAMS notes. I have not read any other review books or anything.
That's great. So what I am interpreting, I'm going to go one by one. Okay, like if I ask you, okay, for the Central Institute exam, because I think you are the best person to tell us last times you got rank 10, now you are getting rank 8. Okay, how to handle, like I divide major subject, minor subject. What was the first line of subjects? Okay, the subjects which were very important for your Central Institute exam.
So in general, I'll tell you how to approach a AIIMS exam. So the preparation for AIIMS exam has basically three parts.
Okay.
So the first part is where everyone gets trumped. The first part is to actually want AIIMS, because half the people I've met in my hometown and in other peripheral colleges, they believe that they can't get AIIMS, and it's like they believe that they're out of the race already. And they give a stepmotherly treatment to AIIMS, thinking that NEET ke liye pad lete hain, and just 10 days before AIIMS they start reading for AIIMS, and they expect something. It will not happen.
It means
So
you should exclusively preparing for AIIMS, and your dream should be AIIMS.
yes, matlab it's not exclusively, but you should be completely focused and 100% devoted towards what you want. And once you do that, 1/3 of the game is already won, because most people don't do it. And me being undergraduate from AIIMS Delhi, so it was easy for me because all my seniors were also doing the same thing. So that's the first part. The second part is where you develop your knowledge base. So this knowledge base development begins from your first year actually. So if you're regular studying for your internals and profs, I mean, I'm not saying don't just be a bookworm, but if you're studying regularly and you're studying standard textbooks, then you are automatically in the race. So it's not a big deal to ask. You just have to read your standard textbooks and follow, and basically become a good MBBS student. So, and then comes the internship, where you consolidate with all the foundation notes and T&D, and you consolidate everything, and you start practicing MCQs, and then you go and you hit it. And the third and the most important part is what you do just before the exam, on the day of the exam. So basically you should go with a clear-cut strategy in your mind, and AIIMS has always been this exam where they give up something new.
Yeah.
Something new comes in, like the videos came in, this time they changed the pattern, but matlab you should not be scared of it. You know, it's jo dar gaya wo mar gaya. That is the same, that is the principle.
Same strategy is for the topper, same for the you. Same exam is for the topper, same
Yeah,
for you. So
yeah.
you should not be have the phobia.
So yeah, you should not have a fear, because they're going to ask the same thing in a different way. So you should have a clear-cut strategy of what I will attempt, how much I will attempt, where I will take my risks, and how I will approach the exam. Like if it's a high negative, like the sequence type at +1, -1, true and false at +1, -1. So here you don't take the risk. So my attempt was exceptionally less actually this time. If you compare it to others, they had attempted like 195 marks out of 200. I attempted only about 178, 176 marks out of 200. But still I got in the top 10 because I calibrated my attempt rate such that I make minimum number of mistakes. So it depends on a person to person basis how you want to go about it. But to get into top ranks, you have to take a risk, and you have to take a calculated risk, and where you want to take the risk is your strategy. So
coming on this number of the MCQs you attempted, like you compare on AIIMS on one side, NEET you got ranked in top 100. So what was your difference in the strategy? Like what you will advise our medicos in NEET examination out of 300, how many you should attempt?
Sir, in any exam, if there is a single best answer, you should not leave more than 5% of the questions. You should leave only 5% of the questions. That is the maximum you leave. So 5% of 300 would be around 15 questions, I guess.
15 MCQs, yeah. You should go till you can say 285.
Yeah, 15. 15 is the maximum you can leave. So you have to take a risk more than that if you want to get into top 10. So you should attempt like 190 or 195, 290 or 295 to get into the top 10.
Like last AIIMS when you got rank 10, your internship was going on. How it was possible for you to handle the class notes with the textbook, with the MCQs? So how many hours, like everybody must be asking this point, how many hours you devote every day?
Sir, last time in the interview also I said this, that you play the game to your strengths.
Okay.
So I rely a lot on my memory. I have a good memory and I know it. So I don't go back and revise things many number of times. Although it is recommended that you revise things a lot of times, but I feel that I don't.
Confident of your once you have read, so you will deliver in the exam.
Yes, exactly. So for me that was not an issue because I remembered most of the things that I read during my first, second and third year. So I did not have to go back. So it was everything for consolidation. But in general, what I've seen my friends and all doing, what they do is they take up a subject and they go about with the previous year questions of AIIMS and see which topics are important and which topics they lack, which topics they are good at, and then based on that they read more in some topics or less in some topics. Managing time is definitely difficult. For us it was easier because we did not have such a hectic internship, but I can understand somebody working for 12-16 hours a day coming back and reading is very difficult. So if you have such an internship, I think you should plan in advance that you are reading during your MBBS years well, so that you can consolidate in the minimum amount of time that you have during an internship. I think that is the
main basic point. We have to somewhere concise all these subjects so that you can revise it in the final
exactly.
Yeah. So how, like on coming on the DAMS online platform, eMedicos, your online apps, we are giving multiple MCQs. So what was the importance of MCQs, like the level of MCQs we are asking in AIIMS if you compare with the AIIMS, because you have cracked these last two consecutive AIIMS with the rank 10 and rank 8. So what is what you will say regarding the level of the MCQs?
Sir, regarding the level of the MCQs, the last time exam was comparatively much easier than this time exam. So in the previous exam, if you take the MCQs of DAMS, it was a little a step ahead, and I think it is okay to be a step ahead because once you are ahead in the MCQs, you can solve the easier ones anyways. Exactly. So this time I feel the exam was difficult, so the level was almost same. Probably DAMS was,
if you compare with the last AIIMS, the DAMS level was on the higher side.
Yes.
With this AIIMS,
it was similar. It was similar, and with the new pattern and all, they try to play little tricks, but you should not be very perturbed by it. So the level of the paper was difficult than last time, and it was similar to DAMS.
But this is a big insecurity among every medico, like pattern has been drastically changed. Out of 200, I think what we interpret from the last pattern, 50 new pattern MCQs were there. So what do you feel, the content of the class notes was sufficient to handle these 50 new pattern based MCQs?
So the new pattern based MCQs are not from a different planet, they are from the same...
That is a word I want to listen from your mouth.
They're from the same topics, like if you see the questions, they're asking gram stain, they're asking gestational diabetes, and they're asking basic things that you learn as a undergrad. And of course there are some questions which you can't answer, which even I can't answer and nobody can answer. So you don't have to worry about them. So basically, as I said, in the AIIMS exam, you play to your strengths, you are not afraid in the exam, you go with a strategy and you execute it. And of course, everyone, even me, when I went into the AIIMS exam, I did not expect 50 new questions. I thought it will be maximum 20 or 30 because time won't be sufficient. So as soon as I saw 50, I was immediately correcting my strategy that by time that I thought and I came, I had to calibrate it. So it is, you have to be on your toes at the same time you have to be calm. I think you have to be balanced in the AIIMS exam. If you get too
Mentally very sound in the exam.
exactly, if you get too anxious, then you will
Spoil the game.
yeah. So for me, it was always been that before the exam, I am always very anxious. On the day of the exam, I am very calm. So you have to be very calm on the day of the exam. And the 50 new MCQs, you should not be really worried about that. Just make a strategy in your mind that wherever there is +1, -1, there you go with an approach that you know you hit. If you don't know, don't hit. Simple.
+1, -1, what I as a medico, what I feel, you should not take much of the risk, like if you compare with a NEET exam.
If you're sure, if you're more than 80% sure, then only you answer.
Because in NEET, like we have 1:4 ratio.
There you can answer.
We can risk, but here 1:1, we should not take the risk.
And if you want to get the top ranks, you have to take the risks. So you take the risk in the single best, and the ones with multiple choice and assertion reason. Because this has less negative, you go and attempt everything there, but not in the part where you get high negatives.
So what I'm interpreting from you, whatever the pattern is there, your content should be very strong.
Exactly.
If your class notes are very strong, you can perform in any of the platform. Yeah. So now coming back on the exclusive club, like what was the role of exclusive club, DAMS exclusive club in your preparation of getting this awesome rank in that 2 consecutive AIIMS?
Sir, the DAMS exclusive club, basically the updates which come on the DAMS exclusive club, some of the MCQs, they revise when I'm just scrolling through Facebook, I can revise the MCQs that I have read, and sometimes I see some question which has been previously asked that is put up by some faculty, then I go back and read the topic. So it was like a supplement to the main preparation that I was doing, and it was a very good supplement, I'll say, because it keeps you engaged and it keeps you focused, and with the motivation quotes by Sumer sir and Deepthi ma'am, I used to read them also. So because of course it was a very tough time for me, so I needed motivation more than anything. So I was a follower of the DAMS group, and I used to see what recent MCQs updates, PSM updates, all these I used to go through from the Facebook, and I used to add it to my notes.
So all the updates which were there, all the image based MCQs, so what do you feel, like pattern of AIIMS, did you get any help from these updates? The image based new updates were on the same pattern or somewhere different?
Sir, what I've realized with AIIMS is ki, of course the updates were covered by DAMS, like the Lakshya program that came this time, it was covered. But the problem with the AIIMS is that they cover the updates which have been 2 years before in this exam. Like suppose if something comes new this time, it will be after 1 or 2 exams that they will give the question. But the thing is there, like the update, you have to know it. So yeah, of course updates help, but I think that one should not really be so focused on updates ki yehi aayega. Maximum 1 or 2
in the upcoming year.
Yeah, it may come somewhere or the other, it will reflect.
It will be reflect.
But it is not that you should be very focused on updates, like you spend hours and hours searching for updates. That is not necessary. Whatever the faculty posts or whatever you get in your questions will be more than sufficient to answer in AIIMS. And all the new monoclonal antibodies, people keep reading about them. I don't think AIIMS is going to ask. I'm not sure about the NEET pattern, but AIIMS is not going to ask those questions.
Okay. And one more thing, like you appear for the CBT and again you got the top rank. If we compare with the CBT pattern and now your AIIMS pattern, so what was the reflection of the question level of the MCQs?
Sir, as I said, the CBT, if you compare it with the last time AIIMS, it was much harder. If you compare with this time AIIMS, it was on par with the AIIMS exam. Probably a little easier because you add the extra tension, stress, and the D-Day factor for the AIIMS exam. But for otherwise, it was on a similar pattern. For someone who gives it as a third person,
it means somewhere if you prepare for the central, what I'm getting from you, Central Institute exam, you should prepare for the tough MCQs rather than going for multiple easy-going MCQs. Okay, quality of MCQs matter.
So there's a catch in that, because what I've seen is ki if without learning to walk you can't run. So first you make your basis strong, first you go from easier, then to medium, and then to hard. But you should be rest assured that unless you reach the hard game, you're not going to get into Central Institute. So you have to work your way up. Of course it's time consuming, it's hard work. So that's why I recommend that you start from first year. Don't take it lightly, because I've seen that people, they take it very lightly and come to internship, and then there's a lot to slog. So then they get tensed, anxious, and a lot of my friends also, they start picking up the books a little late. So it's better you start from first year. Yeah, you start from first year. It is not going to be a very big task like reading for your exams during your profs and all. It's not going to be such big a task. You can enjoy as well. So once you cover that base and then you move to MCQs, then you go from the easier ones to the medium ones and then to the harder ones. So it's a stepwise process. You cannot just jump and get into all of a sudden you haven't read.
First year, what I'm getting here, your first year you should concentrate rather than wasting time here and there. The first and second year subject should be very strong. What I'm getting from your impression, or
So-
what you feel, if I give you 19 subjects, what will you comment on the importance of the basic subject like patho, physio, pharma?
So for the central institutes, it has always been the basic subjects. This time a little less of basic subject were asked, but I still stick to the point that once you are thorough with your basics, once you know patho, micro and pharma, you know medicine. So it is imperative to know the first year subjects very well, because again it's a stepwise process. Until unless you know path, pharma, micro, you cannot go to medicine, surgery. So it's a stepwise process. Once you learn these well, then you learn those anywhere. So I'm saying that I'm not saying you become a bookworm from first year, you start reading Grace, big books. I'm saying you build your concepts. So once you go towards the exam, you go to clinics, just when you're there for 3 hours, instead of looking at your phone, look at the patients. That's all I'm saying. That you just be focused on what you're doing.
On clinical learning, absolutely.
Yeah, and just be a good MBBS student, that's all. And rest of the time you can enjoy, party, whatever you want to do.
That's great. Now, being like, I'm again proud to share with you, Dr. Kaushik ranked 8 AIIMS, last AIIMS, he scored rank 10, then he dropped, he prepared again and he again got this rank of 8. Take my word, awesome success and your hard work, and take a risk you have taken the last. I want in the end you give us some special message for our juniors, all medicals seeing your video across the country.
Sir, I mean, I've been asked this question a lot of times that, I've seen it on DAMS group also. People keep asking, should I drop? Should I take another drop for the subject of my choice, or should I settle? So, I'm not going to go cliche and say, of course you drop it and you take a chance. I'm saying you have to assess your risks versus benefits, like where you stand currently and what you want to achieve, and you should take a realistic stand. So the AIIMS PGI exam is only about strategy. If you're a first time if you're preparing for the first time, you get your strategy right, you'll get it. If you're a dropper, you have to make an assessment of where you stand, what you know, how much time you have, and what is the risk you're taking, and then take the risk. Don't blindly just keep taking the risk. For suppose you're standing at 500 or 600 and you're aiming for radiology. So you have to know how much you know, how much time you have, whether you can do it. If the answers to these 3 are yes, go for it. Don't listen to anybody else, just go for it. But you have to do a personal assessment for yourself honestly. So everybody, I just want to say, I want to wish them all the best, and just do an assessment, be truthful to yourself, where you stand, what you know and what you want to get. If all these 3 are in sync, then you should go for it.
Thanks a lot for giving such awesome advice, and again we congratulate you for and best wishes for your future. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir.
Dr. Kaushik.